My husband didn't know my nanny cam was still on when I left for work. And what I discovered made me file for divorce that same day. Hi everyone. Before we go on, show your love by subscribing and saying hi in the comments. Share your location, too. We love hearing from you. Let's get back to the story. I kissed Austin goodbye that Tuesday morning, just like I had every day for the past 8 years. His stubble scratched against my cheek as he mumbled something about picking up dry cleaning. Our 3-year-old daughter, Zara, was still asleep upstairs, and I felt that familiar pang of guilt leaving her again. Don't forget to give Zara her medicine at noon, I whispered, grabbing my laptop bag. Austin nodded absently, already scrolling through his phone. I noticed he was texting someone, but I pushed down that familiar knot in my stomach. Trust, Kesha. Marriage is about trust. The nanny cam in our living room had been my compromise with my overprotective mother. Baby, you need to know what's happening in your house, she'd insisted when Zara was born. I'd installed it, checked it religiously for the first year, then gradually forgotten about it. As life got busy that morning, I'd meant to turn it off after checking on Zara one last time from my car. My finger hovered over the app, but my phone rang. My supervisor, Janet, sounded stressed. Kesha, we need those quarterly reports moved up. Can you come in early? I threw the phone into the passenger seat and drove off, completely forgetting about the little red recording light that continued blinking in our living room corner. If I had remembered to turn it off, my entire world wouldn't have shattered by lunchtime. Sometimes I wonder if ignorance truly is bliss, because what I recap your creative daily YouTube recaps in your inbox. Stop listening for hours. Start reading in minutes. Every morning at 8 a.m., our AI-powered digest lands in your inbox with all key insights from your favorite YouTube channels. Start your daily recaps. Sponsored. Was about to discover would change everything I thought I knew about the man I'd loved since college. The last normal moment of my marriage was me humming along to the radio, completely unaware that my husband was about to destroy our family in the most unthinkable way possible. Around 11:30, I was deep in spreadsheets when my phone buzzed. A text from Austin. Zara's medicine is in the kitchen cabinet, right? My blood ran cold. I'd specifically told him this morning it was in the bathroom cabinet, same place it had been for 3 months since her ear infection. But it wasn't just his forgetfulness that bothered me. Something felt off about the text. Austin never texted me during work hours unless something was wrong. He said it disrupted his creative flow at his graphic design job. Plus, he'd been acting strange lately, coming home late, taking calls in the garage, being extra affectionate in that guilty way that made my skin crawl. I called him straight to voicemail. Called again. Same thing. By the third attempt, my hands were shaking. Zara had a fever yesterday, and if she didn't get her antibiotic on schedule, she could relapse. The pediatrician had been very clear about that. That's when I remembered the nanny cam. I opened the app with trembling fingers, expecting to see Austin searching frantically through kitchen cabinets. Instead, my screen showed an empty living room. Where was he? Where was my baby? I refreshed the app, thinking it was glitching. Still empty. My heart hammered against my ribs as I checked the timestamp. 11:47 a.m. Live feed. They should be downstairs by the. Zara always woke up around 11 and Austin knew her routine by heart. Janet. I called across the office trying to keep my voice steady. I need to leave. Family emergency. She looked up from her computer, concern flooding her features when she saw my face. I was already grabbing my keys when my phone buzzed again. Austin, found it. Crisis averted. But I'd been watching that empty living room for 5 minutes. If he just found the medicine, where had they been all this time? The 20-minute drive home felt like hours. I kept calling Austin, but every call went straight to voicemail. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe they'd gone to the park, but Zara had been feverish yesterday. Maybe the grocery store. But Austin hated shopping with a toddler. Always complained about the meltdowns. I tried to convince myself I was overreacting. Austin wasn't perfect, but he loved Zara. He'd never put her in danger, right? But then why wasn't he answering his phone? And why did the living room look so eerily empty when they should have been there? The app showed I had recorded footage from this morning. My finger hovered over the playback button, but I was driving too fast on the highway to focus on the screen. Whatever was on that recording could wait until I got home and confirmed my family was safe. But the closer I got to our house, the more dread settled in my stomach like a lead weight. Something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. That maternal instinct that had kept me up countless nights checking on Zora's breathing when she was a newborn. I pulled into our driveway at 12:23 p.m. Austin's car was there, which should have been reassuring, but somehow made everything worse. If he was home, why hadn't he been answering his phone? I fumbled with my keys, hands shaking so badly I could barely get them in the lock. "Austin," I called as I pushed through the front door. "Baby, where are you?" The house felt wrong somehow. Too quiet, too still. Zara should have been chattering away, playing with her blocks or watching cartoons. Instead, silence pressed against my ears like water. "We are upstairs." Austin's voice drifted down, but something in his tone made my stomach clench. He sounded breathless, nervous. I couldn't tell, but every instinct screamed that something was very, very wrong. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my heart hammering so loud I thought it might wake the neighbors. "Austin, is that okay? I was worried when you didn't." I stopped dead in the doorway of our bedroom. Austin was there shirtless, pulling on a t-shirt with clumsy, hurried movements. And standing by our dresser, smoothing down her hair with trembling hands, was my sister Denise, my sister in my bedroom with my half-dressed husband while my daughter was supposed to be in his care. "Kesha." Austin spun around, his face cycling through shock, guilt, and panic in the span of 2 seconds. "Baby, you're home early. I thought you had that big meeting. Where's Sarah?" The words came out flat, emotionless, even though inside I was screaming. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. Not Austin. Not Denise. Not in my house, in my bed, where my child was. "She's napping," Denise said, her voice barely above a whisper. She couldn't meet my eyes. My sister, who'd helped plan my wedding, who'd held my hand during labor, who'd promised to always have my back, couldn't look at me. "She's napping," I repeated slowly. "And you two were." I gestured vaguely at the rumpled bed sheets, at their disheveled appearance, at the betrayal hanging in the air like smoke. Austin stepped forward, hands raised like I was a wild animal he needed to calm. "Kesha, baby, this isn't what it looks like. We were just what?" My voice cracked. "Just __, in our bed while my 3-year-old daughter was alone upstairs just destroying our marriage while I was at work trying to support this family." Denise finally looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "Kesha, I'm so sorry. It just happened. We didn't mean." "Get out." The scream tore from my throat with such force that both of them jumped. "Get out of my house right now." After Denise left, crying, apologizing, begging me to listen, and Austin retreated to the guest room to give me space to process. I sat on my living room couch staring at my phone. Zara was still napping, thank God, unaware that her world had just imploded. I opened the Nanny Cam app with shaking fingers. If I was going to destroy my marriage today, I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. The footage was all there, time-stamped and damning. 9:15 a.m. Austin kissed me goodbye, watched me drive away, then immediately grabbed his phone and started texting. 9:23 a.m. He carried sleeping Zara upstairs. At least he'd made sure she was safe first. 9:31 a.m. Denise knocked on the front door. Austin let her in and they immediately fell into each other's arms like starving people. My sister's hands were in his hair. His mouth was on her neck. This wasn't some spontaneous mistake. This was practice familiar hungry. The timestamp showed they'd been kissing in my living room for 10 minutes before heading upstairs. 10 minutes of betrayal while my daughter slept innocently above them. I fast-forwarded through footage I couldn't bear to watch, stopping when I saw them coming back downstairs at 11:42 a.m. 5 minutes before Austin texted me about the medicine. They'd been together for over 2 hours, but it was what happened next that made me physically sick. At 11:50 a.m., Austin's phone rang. I could see him looking at the screen, then at Denise before declining the call. My call. He'd been watching me try to reach him while he stood there with my sister. Both of them half-dressed and guilty. At 11:55 a.m., Denise kissed him goodbye. A long, tender kiss that spoke of love, not just lust. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a relationship. I screamed into a pillow until my throat was raw. That evening, after I tucked Zara into bed and sung her 3 lullabies to keep myself from falling apart, I cornered Austin in the kitchen. He'd been avoiding me all afternoon, claiming he needed to think about how to explain everything. How long? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. I'd cried myself empty during Zara's nap time. Austin looked up from the sandwich he wasn't eating. Kesha, I know you're hurt. But how long? I enunciated each word like I was talking to a child. And don't you dare lie to me. I have cameras, Austin. I can check every day for the past month if I need to. His face crumpled. 6 months, he whispered. It started at your birthday party. We were both drunk at my birthday party. The words hit me like a physical blow. You started, my sister at my birthday party. It wasn't like that. We talked about you, about how amazing you are. And somehow he trailed off, probably realizing how insane he sounded. Somehow you decided the best way to appreciate me was to betray me with my own sister. I laughed and the sound was ugly broken. 6 months, Austin. 6 months of lying to my face. Of me trusting you with our daughter while you brought your mistress into our home. Denise isn't my mistress. It's not some cheap affair, Kesha. We fell in love. The kitchen went dead silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. Those 4 words, we fell in love, hit harder than anything else he could have said. If it had been just sex, maybe we could have walked through it. But love, my husband loved my sister. Get out, I whispered. Kesha, please. We can fix this. I'll end things with Denise. We can go to counseling. You love her. I stared at him, seeing a stranger wearing my husband's face. You just told me you love my sister. There's nothing to fix. The next morning, I dropped Zara off at my mother's house with a story about needing to work late. Mom took one look at my face and didn't ask questions, just pulled her granddaughter into a fierce hug that made my chest ache. Denise was waiting on my front porch when I got home, looking like she hadn't slept. Her eyes were red and swollen, her usually perfect hair hanging limp around her shoulders. Don't, I said before she could speak. Don't you dare apologize to me. Kesha, please. I need you to understand. Understand what? I unlocked my door but didn't invite her in. Understand how you looked me in the eye every Sunday at family dinner while you were sleeping with my husband. Understand how you helped me pick out his Christmas present while you were planning to steal him from me. Denise flinched like I'd slapped her. It wasn't planned. It just happened and then we couldn't stop. 6 months. I cut her off. You had 6 months of opportunities to stop. 6 months of chances to tell me the truth. Instead, you smiled at me and asked about my marriage and pretended to care about my happiness. I do care about your happiness, she cried. You think this was easy for me? You think I wanted to fall in love with Austin? Fall in love? I shook my head. You keep using that phrase like it absolves you of everything. Like love is some uncontrollable force that made you betray your sister. Denise stepped closer. Desperation evident in every line of her body. I tried to stay away. After your birthday, I avoided family gatherings. I stopped calling. But you didn't stop or _ him in my bed while my daughter was upstairs. The words hung between us like a physical barrier. Denise crumpled onto my porch steps, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. I didn't comfort her. I couldn't. This woman who'd been my best friend, my confidant, my daughter's favorite aunt, had become a stranger. Worse than a stranger. She'd become my enemy. Do you want to know the worst part? I asked, my voice eerily calm. It's not even the affair. It's that you let me trust Austin with our daughter while you two were carrying on. What if something had happened to Zora while you were distracted? What if she'd woken up and seen you? Denise looked up at me with streaming eyes. We were careful. We always made sure she was safe. Safe. I laughed bitterly. She was alone upstairs while her father was too busy screwing her aunt to answer his wife's phone calls. I spent 20 minutes terrified something had happened to my child because you two couldn't keep your hands off each other. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. I sat down on the porch railing, suddenly exhausted. If I hadn't come home early, if I hadn't seen the footage, how much longer would this have gone on? Denise was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely audible. We were going to tell you when soon Austin was going to ask for a divorce, and we were going to tell you about us after things settled down. The casual way she said it, like they'd been planning my entire future behind my back, made something cold and hard settle in my chest. You already had it all figured out, didn't you? My marriage ends. You get the man and I just what? Accept it. We hoped you'd understand eventually. We hoped we could all still be family. Family. I stood up abruptly, rage finally breaking through my numbness. You destroyed my family. You don't get to pretend we can all just move on and play happy together. That afternoon, I sat in family attorney Margaret Chen's office. The nanny cam footage queued up on my phone. She watched it with the dispassionate expression of someone who'd seen every kind of betrayal imaginable. This is quite damning, she said, finally, removing her glasses to clean them. Adultery in your home during his custodial time with your daughter. It paints a clear picture of someone prioritizing his affair over his parental responsibilities. What does that mean for custody? My voice was from crying, but my hands were steady now. The numbness was giving way to something else. Determination. In cases like this, where one parent's infidelity directly impacts their judgment regarding the child's welfare, courts tend to favor the non-chained spouse. The fact that he ignored your calls while engaged in the affair, potentially putting your daughter at risk, is particularly concerning to judges. I nodded, taking notes. What about the house? Given that the adultery occurred in the marital home, you have strong grounds to claim it entirely. Most judges won't force a betrayed spouse to sell the home where the affair took place. Over the next hour, we discussed assets, timeline, and strategy. Everything felt surreal. Dismantling an 8-year marriage in legal terms, reducing love and betrayal to property divisions and custody schedules. Mrs. Johnson, Attorney Chin said, as I prepared to leave, I have to ask, are you certain reconciliation isn't possible? Many couples work through infidelity. I thought about Austin saying he loved Denise. I thought about 6 months of lies of family dinners where they'd both looked me in the eye and smiled. I thought about my sister's hands and my husband's hair. It's not possible, I said firmly. I want him served tomorrow. And your sister, will she be a factor going forward? She's dead to me. Austin was served divorce papers at his office the next day. I'd specifically requested that so his coworkers would witness it. Petty, maybe, but I was past caring about protecting his reputation. He stormed into the house that evening like a hurricane. Kesha, what the hell is this? Adultery. Abandonment of parental duties. Are you trying to destroy my life? I was feeding Zora dinner, keeping my voice calm for her sake. I'm documenting the truth. Everything in those papers is accurate. You can't keep Zora from me. I'm her father. A father who ignored his wife's phone calls while his daughter needed medicine because he was too busy having an affair. I wiped Zora's face gently. A father who brought his mistress into her home. I told you it's not like that with Denise. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't say her name in front of our daughter. Austin's face was red with rage and panic. This is insane. People make mistakes, Kesha. We can fix this. You didn't make a mistake, Austin. You made a choice. Every day for 6 months, you chose to betray me. Every family dinner where you sat next to me while planning to leave me. Every night you came home late from seeing her. Every time you kissed me after kissing her, those were choices. Mama. Zara looked between us with worried eyes. Why is Daddy loud? I lifted her from her high chair, holding her close. Daddy's just upset, baby. Let's go read stories. As I carried her upstairs, Austin shouted after me, this isn't over, Kesha. I'm not letting you take my daughter away. But the thing is, I wasn't taking her away. He'd already chosen to leave us for someone else. I was just making it official. The hardest part wasn't dealing with Austin. I was done with Austin. The hardest part was watching our families implode. My mother cried for 3 days straight when I told her about Denise. My father, usually the gentlest man alive, actually punched a hole in his garage wall. That girl, Mom kept saying through her tears. I raised her better than this. I thought I raised her better than this. My brothers were split down the middle. Kevin wanted to beat Austin's ass and never speak to Denise again. But Jerome kept saying families needed to forgive, that people made mistakes, that Zora needed her aunt. She's not Zora's aunt anymore, I told him during a heated phone call. She's the woman who helped destroy Zora's family. Kesha, you're being dramatic. Am I? I laughed harshly. Jerome, she was having sex with my husband in my bed while my 3-year-old was upstairs. If I'm being dramatic, then I guess drama is what the situation calls for. The worst part was how Denise kept trying to contact me. Text calls showing up at my work. She sent a 5-page letter that I threw away without reading. She had Mom call me begging me to just listen to Denise's side. There is no side. I told Mom, there's no explanation that makes what she did okay. He's my sister. She knew exactly what she was doing to me, and she did it anyway. Austin, meanwhile, had moved in with Denise. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. The man who begged me for forgiveness was now posting pictures of their coffee dates on social media like they were some normal, happy couple instead of 2 people who'd blown up a family. It was grotesque, but also clarifying. This was who they really were. People who could destroy lives and then smile for selfies. 6 months later, I sat in family court wearing my best black suit, watching Austin and his lawyer argue why he deserved equal custody despite everything. They painted me as vindictive, bitter, someone using our daughter as a weapon. But then, Attorney Chin played the nanny cam footage for the judge. The courtroom went dead silent as everyone watched Austin decline my phone calls while half-dressed. Watched him prioritize his affair over his parental duties. Watched him lie to me via text while my sister smoothed her hair in our bedroom. Your Honor, Attorney Chin said, this footage clearly shows a pattern of behavior where Mr. Johnson prioritized his extramarital affair over his daughter's welfare. Mrs. Johnson was trying to ensure their child received necessary medication, and Mr. Johnson was too engaged in his affair to respond to her legitimate parental concerns. Austen's lawyer tried to argue that one incident didn't establish a pattern, but the judge cut him off. "Mr. Johnson," the judge said, her voice sharp with disapproval. "You conducted an affair in the marital home during your custodial time with a 3-year-old child. You ignored your wife's calls regarding your daughter's medical needs. This court finds that troubling. In the end, I got primary custody. Austen got every other weekend and 1 evening per week supervised for the first 6 months. The house was mine. Most of our assets were mine. Not because I was vindictive, but because the court recognized that actions have consequences." As we walked out of the courthouse, Austen caught my arm. "Keisha, please don't let this destroy everything. We were good together once." I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing but pity. "We were never good together, Austen. I was just good at pretending we were." 2 years later, I'm watching Zora play in our backyard. Her laughter filling the air as she chases butterflies through the garden I planted after the divorce. She's 5 now, bright and beautiful and resilient in the way children are when they are loved unconditionally. Austen sees her every other weekend just like the court ordered. He and Denise got married last year, a small ceremony I heard about through family gossip. I felt nothing when I learned about it. Not anger, not sadness, just a distant kind of relief that their story was finally separate from mine. But here's the thing that no one tells you about betrayal this deep. It doesn't just end when the divorce is final. It echoes through everything that comes after. Zora asks why she can't see Aunt Denise anymore. I tell her that sometimes grown-ups make choices that change families, and she nods with the solemn acceptance of a child who's learned that adults aren't always trustworthy. My mother still cries sometimes when she talks about losing both her son-in-law and her youngest daughter in one catastrophic reveal. My father aged 10 years and 10 months. Jerome still thinks I should forgive, but Kevin won't even say Denise's name. The hardest part is that I love them both so much. Austen was my college sweetheart, my best friend, the man I thought I'd grow old with. Denise was my little sister, my mate of honor, the person I called when I needed to laugh or cry or just exist with someone who knew me completely. They didn't just betray my trust. They stole my history, tainted every good memory I had with them. Now when I look at our wedding photos, I wonder if he was already capable of this. When I remember sister trips and late-night phone calls with Denise, I wonder if she was already someone who could choose desire over loyalty. The saddest truth, they got what they wanted. They are together. They are happy, they have their love story. And I'm here rebuilding my life from ashes, trying to explain to my daughter why her family exploded without poisoning her against the people who caused it. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes family isn't forever. Sometimes the people who promise to protect you are the ones who hurt you most. And sometimes the price of someone else's happiness is the complete destruction of your own. But I'm still here, scarred, but surviving, broken, but building something new. That has to count for something. They has to.